So, Loubet meets the king. It doesn't go well. People are shouting, about Joan of Arc, about how fat he is. And as a fat person myself, that disgusts me. Nothing wrong with it. The king, though, gets to work, and he attempts to seduce the French people into changing their minds about his country. He meets all sorts of people, gives all sorts of speeches, and starts maybe moving the needle a little bit until we come to this woman, Jeanne Grenier. King Edward, and this is the night it happens, goes to the Théâtre Français to see a play called The Autre Danger. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. And during the interval, he goes to the lobby to stretch his legs. He sees this woman who is also alleged to be a former mistress. I couldn't find any proof of that, but just thought I'd mention it. A former star of the French stage says, "Hey, there's a woman I know." And he walks over there, kissed her hand, and said so everybody could hear, "Oh, mademoiselle, I remember how I applauded you in London, where you represented all the grace and all the wit of France." Now let me tell you what happened and why that was significant. He was showing respect to a French icon, number one, but he also respects the Republican setting, meaning non-monarchical, in which he finds himself, in which a king, and the King of England yet, walks over to see somebody instead of saying, "Professor Walton, I want to see that person, would you bring him to me?" And this changes the game. The French love him after that. And again, I thought that picture, that's King Edward and Loubet. In Europe, it's common to greet people with kisses on both cheeks. So it's not depicting anything other than that. So that dialogue was a game changer, and the fact that he walked over to her in Republican France, that's the game changer. Everybody's repeating the king's words. The newspapers printed the king's speech to the Chamber of Commerce. King Edward had won over France and won an ally for his country. The king and Loubet, they take in a military review at Vernier the next day. And Edward, of course, was meticulous, as he always was, in saluting the French troops and attending a reception at the Hotel Villiers. And there he says, it would have been vexatious not to have been able to stop at the Hotel de Villiers. And he says this in fluent French. Speaks fluent French, speaks fluent German. "For a moment while I was in your beautiful city, I thank you sincerely for the welcome you have afforded me today. I will never forget my visit to your charming city, and I can assure you that it is always with the greatest pleasure that I return to Paris, where I'm always treated as if I were at home." And he, again, had a love affair with Paris going on since that state visit in 1855. I love this cartoon. What you see here, I'm just taking this so I talk to you right, is Marianne, a woman which represents France, chasing away a frog, which is written Anglophobia. King Edward and President Loubet are sitting here, standing there, shaking hands. In the background stand Portugal and Italy, cheering them on, and Germany is pouting in a corner. So, the French paper Le Figaro says this is the promise of an era of new relations, a new era in the relations between our two people. And he's cheered and feted, and everybody tells him how great he is the rest of the time he's there. What did I do? He rekindles his love affair with the French. And